A reasonable amount of news transpired over the weekend, especially in the realm of politics. I thought I seen something in regards to Trump holding a press conference at Mar-a-Lago, leaving some reporters in stony silence. And, well, that was something that I was tangentially aware of, okay? Might be getting my timeline mixed up. I had a Murphy's Law type weekend where if anything could go wrong, has gone wrong. So I'm just catching up on everything. But with all of that stuff considered, I would say probably the biggest story broke earlier on Monday when we had the official return of Trump to Twitter, or now as it's referred to as X. Regardless, okay, this is so much more consequential than him posting his mugshot with the link to his campaign page. But if you go to his account, yeah, he's posting, retweeting, he's back in an official capacity, and it all kicked off with this first message. Are you better off now than you were when I was president? Our economy is shattered. Our border has been erased. We're a nation in decline. Make the American dream affordable again. Make America safe again. Make America great again. Now, like I said, okay, I was not at all connected with the news cycle over the weekend and barely got back on track Monday. I don't know if this was earmarked or foreshadowed Trump's return to Twitter. And then especially, the interview that he was going to be hosting later that day. Like, I don't know if everything, just got announced and developed in quick succession like that, but sure seems like that from the outside looking in. But even with little lead up time, setting up a space with Elon Musk in such quick succession, like obviously they would have had all the logistics planned out. Okay, they would have had an appropriate time set up. These are two incredibly powerful men, making business moves, an area of expertise that they both in fact do share. So yeah, while it didn't go public, as far as I can tell before Monday, they had everything all set in place beforehand. Like what were they going to talk about, how long everything was going to go. And of course, we'll talk about some of it because there's only so much as you can recap of a 2-hour long Trump campaign speech, because that's basically what it was. I tuned in for some of it and can validate some of the numbers that we're going to talk about here shortly. But as for the big talking points coming out of this, Trump wanting to get rid of the Department of Education, which is fantastic. At the federal level, it has failed to be the Department of Education, more or less the Department of Indoctrination for quite a long time. So yeah, kicking back curriculum oversight to the states, that's a fantastic idea. Any type of decentralization that you can do is always going to be applauded by me. I tuned in, he was talking about the prospects of climate change and nuclear warming or something goofy like that, but I ended up missing when he called Kamala Harris a third-rate phony candidate, saying Biden might not have an IQ at all. And of course, yeah, he was throwing jabs, because honestly, why wouldn't you? We're not fighting a fair battle, so of course, why wouldn't you take the shots where you can? Because prior to the conversation taking place, yeah, there was a big old DDoS attack, because they really didn't want these two incredibly influential people, however you want to rank them. Okay, would you say that Trump is the most influential person, and then right underneath of that, it's very likely to be Elon Musk? On the list of most recognizable people that's out there, you can go ahead and make your own specific list, but if you were to rank the top 5 people in the world, both of those names would inevitably be on that list. So this is going to be a consequential event. And maybe because they knew all of this stuff was going to be going down, maybe that's why there wasn't such a long promotion cycle. There wasn't such a long lead into this, as opposed to Trump coming back at 10 o'clock at 10:30 local my time. So that's Mountain Standard Time, Mountain Daylight Saving. I don't know where the hell we're at this point in time. It doesn't really much matter. 10:30 my time. And there you go. Adjust your clocks accordingly. And then in quick succession saying, yes, I'm going to be interviewed by Elon Musk later today. It's going to be there. It's going to be great. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful conversation that we're going to have. And at time of recording, yeah, as Elon's talking about massive DDoS attack, he was also saying that, yeah, we had everything all set up. So something like, 8 million people had already stress test the space, and like 8 million people could have theoretically got into this and everything was all fine and dandy. But obviously, yeah, big old denial of data service attack. Yeah, seems par for the course, right? Why would they be doing this? Well, Didn't you know? You heard Trump's campaign is failing. There's saboteurs on the inside, and Kamala Harris, she's on track to be the next oh my God, just stop it, guys. Because once everything did end up going, okay, I can verify this by the time that I popped in. Okay, yeah, there was 1.2 million people listen, 1.2 million people listening, and that was just on the official space itself. Okay, and then you take a look at the other people listening, hosting their own coverage. Alex Jones checking in with 1.1 million. Okay, Benny Johnson 500K. Mario Nawfal, yeah, with 327. Alex Stein, Drew Hernandez, the front page of Rumble. Yeah, just showing you everybody, even, yeah, just over there on Rumble checking in. You had the Tate brothers with 26. I'd imagine that they probably peaked a little bit higher than that, okay? Benny Johnson, once again, you know, getting another 50K, fresh and fit, getting just about 9K over there. And the quartering peaking at 144,000 people. I thought I seen Pool post some of his numbers, and he was getting 85,000 people tuning in for his coverage. So it's not at all hyperbolic to say that anywhere between 2 to 3 million people were listening when Trump and Elon were having a conversation. Them, yes, two billionaires sitting down for a little bit better than 2 hours, having over 1 million concurrent listeners at any given point in time. From posting on X for the first time, yes, since posting his mugshot last August. Wow, about 2 weeks shy to the day. Holy, wow, that's been... Time flies, man. Time flies. Trump's account receiving over 200 million impressions on the day. And then Elon told the European Commission, yes, Terry Breton wanted to censor the Trump space to do something to his face. What exactly is he talking about? We'll get to that shortly, because like I said, this was a very well covered conversation. There were a few talking points that came up. There are some sound bites that are obviously going to be circulating, but the more important thing is, what is going to be the public perception coming out of this? Well, of course, memes, and Trump has a new lisp. Now, here's the thing, okay? The technology and the audio quality on Twitter Spaces has never really been that terribly high. When I was listening to Trump, it sounded like, yeah, it was compressed. Obviously, he's talking into an iPhone, not exactly known to having the highest of fidelity, but it also sounded like an old man talking over his dentures, because let's be completely honest, okay, for as spry, as mentally dexterous as Donald Trump is, he's still approaching 80, for Christ's sakes, okay? Needed to fix it and forget it before he hopped into the space, but it is what it is, right? And that's the big takeaway on this. Oh, what did he have? New dental work? Oh, what? He's going to start talking about his pigeons? Oh, now he really is Donald Duck? It's hilarious, right? They want to go ahead and run with this stuff, but for the past 4 years, you just wanted to say somebody that doesn't have two firing synapses that they can rub together in their brain. They weren't mentally deteriorating in front of our very eyes. It was just simply a stutter. It's hilarious, the hypocrisy that's going around right now, okay? And then after the conclusion of that, you have the Harris Walls campaign, which I've seen a lot of people saying. I've heard a lot of people tell me that Elon, he should open up the conversation to the Kamala Harris team. Just bring on Kamala and have a conversation. A lot of people tell me that would be the decision going forward. Well, let me just tell you this. 1 million people ain't tuning in to listening to some cackling box wine enthusiast. Okay, that's not happening at all. And this whole AstroTurf campaign that, oh man, there's just a rocket ship to Mars for the least popular primary candidate and the least popular vice president of all time. I don't get how anybody could take any of these polls seriously at this point in time. You just had what? At least a conservative 2 million people listening into a conversation that was announced earlier today. You can't tell me that any of this propaganda is going to end up landing. Okay, a statement on Donald Trump's interview with Elon Musk. Donald Trump's extremism and dangerous Project 2025 agenda is a feature, not a glitch of his campaign, which was on full display for those unlucky enough to listen in tonight during whatever that was on X. Just the way that they're phrasing this whole Project 2025 that's been around for a long time, that isn't something that was ever thought up, endorsed, or concocted by the Trump campaign. But how they're trying to make that stick, just like how Kamala recently ran out very fine people hoax, which is so ridiculous. But all about that campaign is faulty, because you wouldn't have to put out a statement for something that popular and then trying to minimize it as, oh, for those unlucky enough to listen, whatever that was, just knowing that unless you bring a gigantic musical act, unless you have Bon Iver, Bruce Springsteen, Megan Thee Stallion perform before any of your campaign stops, nobody would turn up to him. That's how Kamala Harris is packing those rooms. She's stapling on campaign stops to otherwise much more successful artists and performers. That's the only way that she brings people in to listen to her nonsense. Trump's entire campaign is in service of people like Elon Musk and himself. Self-obsessed rich guys who sell out the middle class and who cannot run a live stream in the year of 2024. Well, that's significantly hindered by your activist friends and your censorious partners in crime across the sea. I can't believe he has sell out the middle class. You can't get away with those lies when people can cast their minds back 5 years and realize that, oh yeah, when Trump was in charge, things were all around better for everybody involved. But talking about not being able to put on a live stream in 2024, well, Kamala, just hop on. Here's the link, okay? But she'll never do that. She'll never do that at all. She'll never take direct action. She'll never go off script for the rest of this campaign. She'll deny every debate attempt. She will run a hyper-stylized version of the Biden campaign from 2020. Campaign from the bunker, campaign as the warm-up act to a much more popular music act, and then just hope the fortification holds in early November. Because you have mass media running with, oh, what is Trump going to have, a lisp? Oh, he's just Project 2025. It's like, we know you're professional liars, and because everybody can just go ahead and independently fact-check your nonsense, well, now you're just going to rely on the likes of the EU and the UK, but we'll get to them shortly. But the EU demands Musk abide by censorship didacts during a Donald Trump interview, which is, it's wild, man. Stepping directly into American domestic politics, which, yeah, this isn't election interference at all. No, the European Union demands Monday that ex-owner Elon Musk abide by Brussels speech restrictions during his planned uncensored interview with Trump. Why? In a letter addressed to tech billionaire Elon Musk on Monday, ahead of his planned uncensored interview with former President Donald Trump, Thierry Breton, the European Commissioner Chief Censorship Czar, threatened to deploy all powers available to him under the Digital Services Act, DSA, against X if the U.S. presidential candidate breaches EU restrictions on speech. I wonder if they had a hand in the delay to the launch of the space. Just wondering. I'm writing to you in the context of recent events in the United Kingdom in the relation to the planned broadcast on your X or on your platform X of a live conversation between a U.S. presidential candidate and yourself. Oh, whomever are you referring to? Which will also be accessible to users in the EU. Breton said because the Trump interview will be broadcast live throughout the EU on X, Brussels will monitor the dissemination of content that may incite violence, hate, and racism in conjunction with major political or societal events around the world, including debates and interviews in the context of elections. Ungoddamn believable, because the UK, okay, the one country in Europe on the outside looking in when it comes to the European Union, we have their take on things. Hey, you better stifle Trump if you know what's good for him. And as we could see, Elon's response to that, telling, Breton to go fornicate his nostrils. We got the UK taking it a step further. What are we, 2 weeks into the Keir Starmer labor regime? And yeah, this has been a topic where it's like, I've wanted to cover it, but how do you cover this stuff? Like, it's so absurd, you can't even lend any comedy to it, where it's now people are going to get thrown in jail over memes. Like, there's no hyperbole there. Okay, you retweet something that might laugh, or cause you to laugh rather, and it could just end up also causing you to be shuffled out of your house in chains. Don't you dare talk about the riots breaking out, because there's some good, hardworking migrants that didn't do nothing. Unbelievable. The UK police commissioner threatens to extradite jail U.S. citizens over online posts. We'll come after you. And yes, if Trump said anything on his broadcast that might be untowards to the UK, or talking bad about our new censorious positions, we'll extradite U.S. citizens to get thrown in jail. This is absolutely absurd. And this is why this upcoming election is more important. I don't think it's hyperbolic at this point in time. Like 2020 was fairly consequential, and we've seen what has happened in the aftermath of that. But this one right here, if you don't want America's fate to echo that of the UK, you need to understand what we're dealing with this time around. You need to understand the importance of the situation we find ourselves in. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't buy into the propaganda. Don't feed into the lies, and get your ass to the voting booth in November. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.